Now, Andrew, the Minister for Skills, Brendan O'Connor, will join me shortly. I'll talk about a range of issues, including the rate rise. But in terms of being a politically potent issue, this is a massive one.
Oh, well, it's what everyone's talking about. Every trip to the supermarket, every trip to the petrol bowser. So absolutely. After this rates decision today and news over the past few months, people with an rate rises up over the past few months, which mean people with an $800,000 mortgage are now copping an extra $1,000 a month in repayments. It is hardly surprising to see cost of living dominate as the issue today, especially when it is still 2022 and the Reserve Bank Governor Philip Lowe during the pandemic promised no more rate rises until 2024. If he was a politician, I think he would be out of a job by now.
Dr Lowe has got to go because he told Australians interest rates wouldn't go up until 2024. Now he's smashing renters, mortgage holders, small business owners, and he's misled them, and he's putting interest rates up through the roof.
So that was just a few minutes ago, Green Senator Nick McKim calling on Philip Lowe, the Reserve Bank Governor, to resign. If the extra rate rise isn't bad enough news, in just 22 days' time, the petrol excise cut of 22 cents a litre will be going back on your petrol. And in answer to a question on notice from backbencher Jackie Lambie, the Finance Minister Katie Gallagher has confirmed that the petrol excise increase will cause 0.25% inflation. The answer to the Senate says, in the 22-23 budget, Treasury estimated the implementation of the fuel excise reduction would reduce annual headline inflation by 0.25 percentage point. The scheduled end then of that fuel excise reduction on 28 September is expected to increase annual headline inflation by the same amount, 0.25%, in the December quarter of 2022. Opposition Leader Peter Dutton is seeking to press this line that Anthony Albanese wants to renege on a cost of living promise he made during the election campaign, that his renewable energy plan would see power bills cut by $275 a year.
The Prime Minister promised on 100 occasions before the last election that the power prices of families would come down by $275. Now, he's not mentioned that figure one day since.
Peter Dutton says Anthony Albanese has not raised this promise since. Well, the PM committed to it again when I asked him about it at a press conference in Sydney a fortnight ago. Your pledge during the campaign to cut electricity bills by $275, is that dead and buried after the price rise we saw after the election, or are you still committed to that?
Well, no. What occurred was that, unbeknownst to the Australian public, again, a lack of transparency, the government knew that wholesale prices were going to have considerable increases. They deferred those increases until after the election campaign, and then they went up. Our policy will reduce power prices, and we stand by that, and we stand by the modelling.
Now, as I reported earlier, the PM was reported to have told caucus this morning that the budget next month will address cost of living issues, but the government had to be honest with the public and there would be difficult decisions in that October 26 budget. He was talking up the government's cost of living policies this morning.
And that's why we'll be introducing legislation this fortnight on cost of living measures, including for cheaper medicines and cheaper childcare. That's why we put forward a submission to the Fair Work Commission to increase the wages of people who are on the minimum wage, and successfully argued for the result, which was a 5.2% increase. That's why we ensured that the pension increases and increases for those in social security have occurred this month. We understand the pressures that people are under.